Republican Congresswoman from South Carolina and Lieutenant Colonel in the Air National Guard, Sheri Biggs. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. You are obviously a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Ukraine launching some large drone attacks, their biggest drone attacks against Russia since the war began. Zelensky saying Moscow will burn if the Russian attacks continue. We were 4 years in here. We had the Biden administration funding this war without a plan. It seems now there is no end in sight. Do you think there is a pathway to get Ukraine over the finish line?
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I certainly hope there is an end in sight, and I think we have the president that can make those negotiations happen. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of time, a lot of lives lost, and a lot of money spent on this war. And Russia thought they were just going to go in and steamroll Ukraine, and it didn't happen. I think we've learned a lot from Ukraine, their resiliency, their love for their country, and just being able, their innovation and the technology that they brought to the table. It's been very informative.
You know, Congresswoman, there is, as we often say, a thread that runneth in between all of these conflicts, from Iran to Russia to what we call the banker for the world's worst actors, the Chinese Communist Party. You look at what has happened here, President Trump strategically going and taking Venezuela before any operations in Iran began. That in many ways negated Russia's ability to have a partner to help them ferry their oil around the world. Same with Iran as well. But in the immediate aftermath of that, because of the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, Russia has seen a tremendous influx in revenue because of the oil they're able to send into China being more expensive. They are the leading exporter of crude oil into China as a nation. So there are, in some ways, immediate benefits for Russia as a result of what's happening here. How do we get the president, this administration, to push back and ensure that they don't try to leverage that immediate impact for long-term gain as it relates to Ukraine?
Well, I don't think there's anyone who understands the implications of our economy more than President Trump. He's a businessman, and there have been discussions of sanctions that could possibly be placed on Russia, and I think time will tell. But I'm sure the president is going over that with his team, and he has a lot on the agenda that hasn't even been brought out to the public.
You know, you're also on the Homeland Security Committee. We know that there was a foiled terror plot at the recent UFC Freedom 250. 5 people were arrested. We've got the people in media losing their mind over the ballroom, blind to the fact that the security experts for the nation have said we need the infrastructure that that ballroom provides to help protect the People's House, the White House, to secure what is command center for the commander-in-chief for the United States of America, irrespective of who is sitting in that chair. Do we think that there is a way to bring calm and bring reality to the halls of Congress to get some of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle to realize just how high the stakes are?
I certainly hope so. The hypocrisy from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, it's kind of breathtaking when you think about it. We should be putting America first, and that means President Trump will be successful. And I find it appalling at the number of Americans, at the number of members of Congress that want to see President Trump fail, that want to see America fail. And it's very unfortunate. To me, the Homeland is a priority, the security of our nation, to make sure that our president is safe and secure, that his family is safe, and my constituents in the 3rd District of South Carolina. I think that's very important. I think that's why President Trump was elected. I mean, the open borders were a complete failure from the previous administration, and I think that's why President Trump is so successful. And I think that's why the Republicans have joined together. And I would like to see us continue to make strides in pushing for stronger border security and make sure that our nation is safe.
You know, to that point, obviously, Congress allowing FISA to expire, FISA becoming a dirty word. It became omnipresent in the American lexicon after Carter Page. Famously, there was an attorney named Kevin Kleinsmith at the FBI who fabricated evidence and used that fabricated evidence as the basis to get a FISA warrant to investigate the Republican nominee for President, Donald J. Trump, and then drag that FISA warrant all the way into the White House when he became president, continued this illicit spying on the President of the United States. So we know that the abuse is real and it impacts people from everyday Americans all the way up to the President of the United States himself. But that being said, do we think that there is a need now to get FISA put back in place? And do we think that perhaps it can be and should be attached to something like the SAVE Act so that we can, one, keep the homeland safe, and then two, make sure that our elections can be secure?
Well, I think the Save America Act is a no-brainer for America. Who would allow foreign individuals to vote in our American elections other than those who were up to no good and trying to do something crooked and underhanded? And, you know, the FISA, it's important. I voted against it initially because I believe there were reforms that needed to take place. I'm part of the Freedom Caucus in D.C. and wanted to see those revisions take place before we voted, and we were able to push that a little further, and we were able to get some of the reforms. So I did vote for the temporary bill to get that across. But we have a long way to go, and we need to make sure that that our homeland is secure, and I will continue to work on that and place that as a priority.
Before you go, got about 30 seconds here, but I know you recently introduced the Improving Travel for Military Members Act, a bill focused on making airport travel easier for active duty service members and their families. Obviously, we all know the intercom call for active duty military to board early, but tell us a little bit about specifically what your bill would do.
Sure. It's Improving Travel for Military Members Act. I have always been committed to supporting our military, and I think readiness, for all the reasons that we just discussed on your show, are a priority for our nation right now. And this is just one way that we can show support for our troops and their families. Many individuals move their families frequently, and this would place a pilot program in 5 major airports that were located strategically near air bases, active duty bases, and it would just help process their family through the TSA lines and the screening process. And it's just one way to show our appreciation and respect and gratitude for their service and sacrifice.
Absolutely. Well, Godspeed to that, and God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.